The United States Navy has a complex system for naming and classifying its commissioned and non-commissioned vessels. The names of ships are carefully chosen and typically reflect the ideals, values, and significant people or places associated with American history. Additionally, the hull classification symbol is used to designate a vessel's type, ranging from aircraft carriers and submarines to cruisers, destroyers, and frigates. While modern surface combatants serve primarily as escorts for other vessels, they have gained new capabilities over the years, including land attack and missile defense roles. The Navy's use of nuclear reactors for power has also revolutionized modern warfare and transformed naval capabilities. Aircraft carriers. Aircraft carriers, or CVNs, are a critical element of the United States forward deployment and deterrent strategy. They have the capability to bring U.S. air power within striking distance of most nations, making them a cornerstone of the country's military presence worldwide. The U.S. Navy deploys multiple carriers to respond quickly to crises, participate in joint exercises with allied forces, and provide military presence. The Navy refers to its Nimitz-class carriers as 4.5 acres of sovereign and mobile American territory, because they are entitled to sovereign immunity, which means they are immune from arrest and search, and exempt from foreign taxation and regulation requiring the flag of a foreign state. Former President Bill Clinton emphasized the importance of aircraft carriers, noting that they are the first thing people ask about in times of crisis. The aircraft carrier's power and flexibility come from its carrier air wing, which includes fixed-wing and rotary-wing aircraft that can perform over 150 strike missions at once, hitting over 700 targets a day. Carrier air wings also protect friendly forces, conduct electronic warfare, assist in special operations, and carry out search and rescue missions. The carriers themselves serve as command platforms for large battle groups or multinational task forces, in addition to enabling airborne operations. U.S. Navy aircraft carriers can even host aircraft from other nations' navies, as seen with the French Navy's Rafale operating from U.S. Navy flight decks during naval exercises. Amphibious warfare ships. 1. Amphibious assault ships. Amphibious assault ships are a type of amphibious warfare ship designed to land and support ground forces on enemy territory by amphibious assault. They come in two subtypes, landing helicopter dock or LHD, and landing helicopter assault or LHA, and are also known as commando carriers or amphibious assault carriers. The design evolved from converted aircraft carriers for use as helicopter carriers but now includes support for amphibious landing craft, with most designs featuring a well deck. While some amphibious assault ships have a secondary role as aircraft carriers supporting VSTOL fixed-wing aircraft, their primary role is to host helicopters that support forces ashore. They differ from standard aircraft carriers as their aviation facilities primarily serve the purpose of supporting ground forces rather than strike aircraft. However, some are capable of serving in the sea control role, embarking aircraft such as Harrier fighters for CAP and anti-submarine warfare helicopters, or operating as a base for large numbers of STOVL fighters providing air support for the Marine Expeditionary Unit once it has gone ashore. These ships can also carry or support landing craft, such as air-cushioned landing craft or LCUs. 2. Amphibious command ships. Amphibious command ships, LCC, are special-purpose ships of the United States Navy that were originally designed to command large amphibious invasions. However, as the likelihood of such invasions decreased, they have been repurposed as general command ships and now serve as floating headquarters for two numbered fleet commands that are forward deployed. These ships are currently assigned as flagships to the 6th and 7th Fleets. 3. Amphibious transport docks. Amphibious transport docks, also known as landing platform docks or LPDs, are amphibious warfare ships designed to embark, transport, and land elements of a landing force for expeditionary warfare missions. Several navies operate this type of ship, which is primarily used to transport troops into a war zone by sea using landing craft. However, they also have the capability to operate transport, utility, and attack helicopters, as well as multi-mission tilt-rotor aircraft. 4. Dock landing ships. Dock landing ships, also known as landing ship, dock or LSD, are amphibious warfare ships equipped with well docks to transport and launch landing craft and amphibious vehicles. These ships can also operate helicopters. The well deck enables the transfer of cargo to landing craft in rougher seas than ships that use cranes or a stern ramp. The U.S. Navy's hull classification symbol for a ship with a well deck depends on its facilities for aircraft, with an LSD having a helicopter deck, an LPD having a hangar, and an LHD or LHA having a full-length flight deck. Some ships with well decks, like the Soviet Ivan Rogov class, also have bow doors to enable them to deliver vehicles directly onto a beach, similar to a landing ship, tank. 5. Expeditionary Mobile Base. Expeditionary Mobile Bases, EMBs, are flexible, modular platforms that are semi-submersible and designed to perform large-scale logistics movements, such as transferring vehicles and equipment from sea to shore. They are intended to reduce the dependence on foreign ports and can provide support in the absence of port availability. EMBs are highly adaptable and can be configured for a variety of missions, including humanitarian aid and disaster relief, special operations support, and maritime security operations. Cruisers. For centuries, warships called cruisers and guided missile cruisers (CG) have been in use with varying definitions. During the Age of Sail, the term cruising referred to missions such as independent scouting, raiding, and commerce protection carried out by frigates and sloops, which were considered the main cruising warships of a fleet. During the mid-19th century, cruisers were classified as ships intended for the role of independent scouting, raiding, or commerce protection. However, cruisers varied greatly in size, ranging from small protected cruisers to armored cruisers that were as large as battleships, though not as powerful. In the early 20th century, cruisers were standardized in terms of size, being smaller than battleships but larger than destroyers. The Washington Naval Treaty of 1922 established formal limits on cruisers, specifying that they could weigh up to 10,000 tons and carry guns no larger than 8 inches in caliber. These limits remained in place until the end of World War II. Additionally, the large battlecruisers from the World War I era were reclassified as capital ships, alongside battleships. As battleships became obsolete in the later 20th century, cruisers emerged as the largest and most powerful surface combatants, except for aircraft carriers. The role of the cruiser varied depending on the Navy and specific ship, and often included tasks such as air defense, commerce raiding, and shore bombardment. During the Cold War, the U.S. Navy built guided missile cruisers primarily for air defense purposes, while the Soviet Navy constructed battlecruisers equipped with heavy anti-ship missiles designed to sink NATO carrier task forces. Destroyers. Fast, maneuverable, and long-endurance warships, destroyers, DDG, were developed in the late 19th century to defend against torpedo boats. Originally known as torpedo boat destroyers, TBD, they were designed to destroy other torpedo boats. By the time of the Russo-Japanese War in 1904, TBDs were large, swift, and powerfully armed, and their role evolved to escort larger vessels in a fleet, convoy, or battle group, defending them against smaller but powerful short-range attackers. Prior to World War II, destroyers were considered as light vessels with limited endurance for long-distance operations, usually working together with a single destroyer tender and a number of other destroyers. However, the development of guided missile technology after the war enabled destroyers to take on the combat roles that were previously fulfilled by larger battleships and cruisers. As a result, guided missile destroyers became larger, more powerful, and capable of independent operations. In the present time, destroyers are the most heavily armed surface combatant ships, with the exception of two nations, the United States and Russia, who operate heavier class cruisers. Battleships and true battlecruisers are no longer in service. Today's destroyers, commonly known as guided missile destroyers, are comparable in tonnage but possess far more firepower than the cruisers of World War II. They are even capable of carrying nuclear-tipped cruise missiles. In fact, modern guided missile destroyers like the Arleigh Burke class are larger and more heavily armed than many of the previous ships classified as guided missile cruisers, boasting an impressive 510-foot, 160 m length, a displacement of 8,200 to 9,700 tons, and an armament of over 90 missiles. Guided missile destroyers are a type of destroyer specifically designed to launch guided missiles, and are often equipped to carry out anti-submarine, anti-air, and anti-surface operations. The standard designation for these vessels in NATO is DDG, although nations may vary in their use of the destroyer designation in their hull pennant numbering, either prefixing it or dropping it altogether. In the American hull classification system, The U.S. Navy has adopted the classification DDG for its guided missile destroyers. A guided missile destroyer typically has two large missile magazines, usually in vertical launch cells, in addition to its guns. Some of these destroyers are also equipped with powerful radar systems, such as the United States Aegis Combat System, and may be utilized for anti-missile or ballistic missile defense purposes. This becomes particularly important for navies that no longer have cruisers, as other vessels must take on this responsibility. Frigates. Frigates, also known as FF or FFG in the modern classification of U.S. Navy warships, are smaller vessels than destroyers that have a primary mission of protecting other ships, such as merchant convoys, and performing some anti-submarine warfare duties. While frigates are cheaper than destroyers, they also have more limited capabilities. The U.S. Navy's last active class of frigates was the Oliver Hazard Perry class, which was decommissioned in September 2015, leaving the Navy without any active frigates. U.S. Navy Secretary Ray Mabus announced on 15 January 2015 that the upcoming variations of the Littoral Combat Ship, LCS, classes would be reclassified as frigates. The existing ships would continue to be classified as LCS unless they are upgraded to meet the standards of the new ships. The U.S. Navy announced on 30 April 2020 that it had awarded a contract to Fincantieri Marinette Marine Corporation, MMC, of Marinette, Wisconsin to design and construct up to 10 guided missile frigates, FFG-X. This includes a base ship and 9 option ships. The FFG-X is the next-generation small-surface combatant and will be capable of conducting multiple missions such as air warfare, anti-submarine warfare, surface warfare, electronic warfare, and information operations. The frigate will be equipped with an Enterprise Air Surveillance Radar, EASR, Baseline 10, BL-10, Aegis Combat System, Mk-41 Vertical Launch System, VLS, Communication Systems, 57 Malawian Quachars Gun Weapon System, GWS, Countermeasures, and advanced EW/IO capability with design flexibility for future growth. Littoral Combat Ships. The United States Navy's Littoral Combat Ships, LCS, are a class of compact surface vessels designed for operations in the littoral zone, which is the area close to the shore. The concept behind the LCS was to create a networked, nimble, and stealthy surface combatant with the ability to overcome anti-access and irregular threats in the littorals. The Freedom Class and Independence Class are two initial variants of the LCS, designed by the U.S. Navy for operations in the littoral zone. Compared to the Navy's guided missile frigates, they are slightly smaller and have been described as corvettes. They feature a flight deck and hangar capable of housing 2 SH-60 or MH-60 Seahawk helicopters, a stern ramp for small boats, and cargo capacity to transport a small assault force with fighting vehicles to a roll-on or roll-off port. Armament includes Mk-110 57mm guns and RIM-116 rolling airframe missiles, along with autonomous air, surface, and underwater vehicles. With lower air defense and surface warfare capabilities than destroyers, the LCS emphasizes speed, flexible mission modules, and a shallow draft. On 8 November 2008, the USS Freedom became the first littoral combat ship to be commissioned at Veterans Park, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The USS Independence, which was the first of the trimaran design, was commissioned on 16 January 2010, in Mobile, Alabama. In 2012, CNO Jonathan W. Greenert announced that LCSs would replace destroyers and cruisers in deployment to Africa. Later, the Navy proceeded with a procurement plan for improved versions of the LCS, and upgraded older ships to meet the program's 52-ship requirement. These modified LCS vessels will be reclassified as FF. In December 2015, Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter ordered the Navy to reduce the planned LCS FF procurement to 40 ships and select only one variant by FY 2019. In January 2015, it was announced that both future and retrofitted versions of the Freedom and Independence classes would be reclassified as frigates. As of now, the Navy has constructed or planned a total of 24 ships out of the 52 ships in the program. Mine Countermeasures Ships. Naval vessels designated as Mine Countermeasures, MCM, ships are specifically designed to locate and eliminate naval mines, performing the dual roles of minesweeping and minehunting in a single hull. The term MCMV is often used to refer to both minehunters and minesweepers as a collective group. A naval vessel designed to remove naval mines from waterways is commonly referred to as a minesweeper. These ships utilize different mechanisms to detect and eliminate the risk posed by naval mines, thus ensuring the safe passage of ships. A mine hunter is a type of naval ship specifically designed to locate and neutralize individual naval mines by actively detecting them. Patrol ships. Patrol ships, also known as PC, are compact naval vessels typically designed for coastal defense operations. These ships come in various designs and are utilized by a nation's coast guard, navy, customs, or police force for both marine, blue water, and estuarine or river, brown water, environments. They play a vital role in border protection and are commonly employed for anti-smuggling, anti-piracy, fisheries patrols, immigration law enforcement, and search and rescue operations. The original yacht, derived from the Dutch Low German word, jacht, meaning hunting or hunt, is an example of a light, fast-sailing vessel used by the Dutch Navy to pursue pirates and other offenders in shallow waters. Submarines. Submarines are underwater vessels that are capable of operating independently underwater. There are three main types of submarines: SSN, SSBN, and SSGN. Attack submarines, SSN, have tactical missions such as controlling naval and shipping activity, launching cruise missiles, and gathering intelligence. Ballistic submarines, SSBN, have a single strategic mission of nuclear deterrence by serving as hidden launching platforms for nuclear SLBMs. However, some of these submarines have been converted to SSGNs, which are capable of launching standard cruise missiles. Naval vessels play a crucial role in modern warfare and are designed for various purposes such as littoral combat, mine countermeasures, patrol, and submarine operations. Each type of vessel has its unique capabilities, technologies, and armaments, making them effective in their specific roles. The littoral combat ship, mine countermeasures vessel, patrol ship, and submarine are all important components of a modern navy, and they work together to ensure maritime security, defend against threats, and project power across the seas. As technology continues to advance, the design and capabilities of these vessels will continue to evolve, making them even more effective and efficient in their respective roles.